Hi, my name is Scott Marker, and this is another episode of Treasure Valley NIA Quick Tips. What it is I am a franchise owner of a Network in Action franchise. It's a once a month professional business networking organization, and I head up three groups here in the Valley of local business owners and professionals. And through that, I just meet a lot of really high caliber and great local business owners, and I like to bring them on the show and share their expertise with the audience. So today is a perfect example. Joel, introduce yourself.
Hey Scott, thanks for bringing me on. Yeah, I'm Joel Kellogg. I'm the owner of Idaho Drainage Solutions. Just live here in the Valley, grew up here. Yeah, excited to be here and get a little time to chat with you.
Awesome. So first thing is drainage, and I mean this is why I'm bringing you on today because, and I've known you because you're a customer and member of the group, but still I'm still learning more about what you do. So how did you get into the industry?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, honestly, I'll just start sharing my story a little bit here.
Okay.
I'm honestly I'm still pretty young, don't have much of a story to share, but how it came to be was I was raised here up in town in Cuna and lived my whole life in Cuna, still do, and always loved the Treasure Valley. Parents were really good. High school was great. I decided to serve a mission. And from serving a mission, I realized that I like to talk, communicate, and I want to grow as a person. And I like that about my life, physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, all those type of things. And so I got home from my mission. I was like, you know what? I think it'd be good to find an opportunity to maybe get in some sales, get to talk to some people, get to rub some shoulders with some good people, be in people's homes, because that's what I was used to serving my mission. So I ended up getting a job selling HVAC systems, heating and cooling units for one of the local companies here in town, and did that for a little bit. Did that for about a year, and then I met a guy named Brian, and he was my previous business partner. And Brian, he had just started his drainage company, Idaho Drainage Solutions, and it'd probably been 6, 7 months, and then he found me. I was actually, selling him a unit, but that's kind of how we met. I just showed up at his house,
Oh,
and kind of funny story there. And then all of a sudden, he's kind of pitching me. I'm trying to sell the system, but he's kind of pitching me to work for his company and show me, the vision and getting me real bought in. So I'm like, hey, I think this sounds exciting to me. So I started selling the drains for him on the side and kind of doing both HVAC drains. And then he let me purchase half the company about 8 months later. So we got to become business partners. And I was still at the time selling both, even owning half the business, trying to juggle everything with the help of him. He's kind of running install. I'm doing the sales and meeting with all the customers. And, so that's kind of how I started getting into it. And that was 3.5 years ago, 3 years ago or so, when we became business partners. And so that's kind of how I got into the world. Over the course of the next, few years, I've recently just bought him out.
oh,
Um, yep. So that happened 4 months ago. So that's been a good change in transition. So been grateful to have that, and it's all mine. And but yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. Was just that kind of meeting, and I love.
happenstance. That's a lot of times. I mean, a lot of times people just stumble. I mean, things just stumble in their opportunities. You take advantage of them.
That's right. That's right. And if you keep swinging, eventually, something comes down the
Yep.
line, the pipeline, and you take advantage when you can. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it came to be. And I've loved being a business owner. Love working with the guys and all we got as far as the employees and things like that. So, feel really blessed to be where I'm at. And
Real quick, how big is your team?
so we have just under 20,
Okay.
and we fluctuate. We go from 18 to 25, depending upon the season we're
Okay.
in and what's the demand. We're pretty weather driven. So if it rains hardcore, we'll get really busy for like a month or two and then we'll kind of die back down. So I'll bring in some additional help and then, kind of let them go after that. So, but yeah, so. that's kind of our team we got going on.
Wow. I know for that's why I'm always excited. I'm a little older, and I'm always excited about people like you because I'm excited that I don't know, you just prove that the younger generation is just driven, great people and driven
Yeah,
and hard working, and so I love it. So what are some common? I mean, again, this is going to help me too, even though I know you and listened to you before. Is it still? What
yeah.
are some common drain issues that owners have here in the
For
Treasure
sure.
Valley?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, it's funny hearing what happens on when the phone rings, right? I'm right next to my office staff that picks up the phones, and so it's funny to kind of hear what comes through and then visit people. I would say there's probably three or four most common things that people call me about. The first is when your gutters are spilling right next to your foundation. So they're just
Okay.
kind of just kicked out. You just got that little 90 elbow, and oftentimes that can lead to water in the crawl space. And obviously, we don't want that. So we don't want water up against the foundation. So that's a very typical call we get. And to put a drain on those and extend those further away from the house into a better location than right up against the house, the water spilling. So that's a common one. Another one we get is when people are calling and they have water in their crawl space. So, very common issue, especially here in the Treasure Valley. We have a lot of clay, and that causes a lot of pressure with water. So, because it can't move through the clay very well, so it likes to move through the ground as it hits certain hard clay layers, and it can sometimes navigate towards your crawl space. And honestly, your crawl space is just a massive hole in the ground, and we're asking water to not find its way in a hole. So it's going to find a hole, and
Yeah,
once it does,
I
it's
love
going
it.
to get back there. So, but that's and then I would say another common one is your basements having water come in and leaking, causing mold on the drywall, causing damage, flooding, wet carpet floor, all those type of things. Those are the most common, and also yard drainage issues. People have a pond in their backyard. Their neighbor sadly is a little bit elevated from them, and they run their sprinklers way too often. That happens all
Oh,
the time. So
or forget and leave a hose on,
yeah, forget to leave a hose on and it floods you
which
out.
I've done before.
Yeah, no, it happens. It's very common. We've had people's crawl spaces get flooded because of the neighbors' hoses or sprinklers. Very common problem. So, but I would say of the most common, those four are the
Okay.
most common.
So
So
yeah. So here's one then. So what's one of the craziest situations you've come across? Because I mean, there's water. I mean,
for
again,
sure.
I mean, there's all these different situations. So what's the craziest one you ever come across?
I would say there's been a handful,
Okay.
but one that comes to mind. There's one drainage situation here in the valley that you run across here and there, and it's the mammoth to deal with. It's the biggest pain, biggest liability, hardest to deal with. It's tough for the guys. It's tough for the homeowner. It takes forever. So we've come across this situation a few times, but I'll just bring up probably the hairiest one we got into, mainly because the install side. But the problem that this guy was having was he has a farmer's field behind him. He lives out in Emmett, so they flood irrigate, and when they flood
Oh,
irrigate, the water table just rises because I mean, literally probably 30 feet. He's 30 feet from this field, and or 30, 40 feet. I mean, it's really close. I mean, his house almost butts up to this field. And so his basement just, I mean, surges of water. And so we've ran into this
is this a
situation.
finished basement? Is this a finished basement?
No, it's not. It did have studs
Okay.
and stuff
Okay.
in it,
Okay.
but it wasn't finished.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't finished. I don't. He might be looking to get it finished now that it can be. So, anyways, but not finished at the time. And so the water, what it'll do is it'll raise up and then just totally flood. So, I walked down there the first time, inches underwater. Yeah, I mean, it's a mess. And he's got a couple pumps going, but I mean, it's so much water the pumps can't keep up. And in this particular situation, it was probably the most amount of water we've had to pump out per hour just to keep this basement dry. That system probably pumps out 8,000 gallons per hour, every hour in irrigation season. I mean, it is insane. I mean, he lives in an underwater lake. So it's just terrible. But how you have to solve that problem, Scott, is it's a pain. You have to cut up the floors and you have to dig with the water and dig out the material, haul it out in a basement. So you either take it through the window or you take it upstairs in buckets. We also have a conveyor belt that we can put down there and it shoves it through the window. If the window, sometimes it doesn't work like that if the windows can't house the unit, the conveyor belt. But yeah, so the problem with this one that was a pain though was this home was built in the 20s probably. And so when they poured this concrete slab down there, it was like 10 inches thick, but they also threw in a bunch of old tractor parts. So as we're cutting this stuff, there's metal tractor parts in this stuff, kind
Wow.
of acting as rebar. And so to get the concrete out of the basement to install our drain system was just such a headache. And then the water situation on top of that, trying to keep this water at bay, it was just a complete nightmare. So it is the worst situation. I mean, not a lot of people have to battle that problem, but we every year we do a few of them, and they're a nightmare. Take about 3 weeks to a month to install. Your
Wow.
basement's just a disaster. Typically, people call it'd be better to do them on the off season when it's not fully flooding, but people call
Yeah.
obviously when it's an issue. So you got to
Yeah.
fight the water tooth and nail the whole time. But that's probably the gnarliest one we've had to do as far as amount of water and just an absolute headache.
Yeah.
We lost our tails on that job, so I underbid that a ton for how much work it was. So
Uh,
yeah, but that's probably the craziest. We've done a few of them, and those are the craziest for
yeah.
sure.
So I mean, I'm starting to understand here is that if there's water in your where it shouldn't be, that's when they call you in.
That's right. That's right. And then we can find a better place for it.
So what's um what's your I mean again, you're a perfect example of somebody that's in an industry that people like me know nothing about. So
Sure.
what type of processes do you follow for quality and to make sure the customers are happy
Oh yeah,
in situations? I mean, there must be processes and the way
for sure.
best practices. So what are some of those?
Absolutely. So, that's a great question, Scott. So we always want to make sure that we're installing the drain to function. And so each type, we install multiple styles of drains. But the biggest thing is, like you said, when there's water where we don't want it, we want to make sure we find a better house for it so that we can capture the water and place it somewhere different that it can be held. So oftentimes you're either, the process that we have to follow is this water has to be captured with a drain and then placed in either a big pit that we excavate this huge hole in the ground and it's to drainable soil, or it goes to a pump and the pump shoots it to a better location, maybe like the front yard, and the grass will soak it up. That's oftentimes if we got to put a pump in a crawl space drain. But as far as getting my guys to actually care to follow the process we have in place, the systems, I mean, it's simple as far as, hey, you got to make sure you do X, Y, and Z for this drain to be successful. And we teach and we have training meetings and all that type of stuff to make sure that we tell these guys how to do these specific styles of drains. But when it comes to the guys actually doing them, they're bought into the vision, to be honest, Scott. They believe they're making a difference. And I reward the guys on their effort that they provide and the satisfaction of the customer. I think that's a big deal. And so making sure the customer has a 5-star experience every time that we are at someone's home and has a nasty problem they don't want. I mean, this is when people call us, it's not a good day. I feel
Yeah.
bad for people that got to
Yep.
call my
Yep.
phone, especially when they got water in the crawl space, water in the basement. That's just no fun. So when we got our team bought into the vision of believing that we're making a difference, our vision is that we want to be the number one recommended drainage company in Idaho. So in order to be that, you got to do, class A work, and
Yep.
got to make sure that we're doing that. And I compensate them on, making sure that the customers having a phenomenal experience and getting a 5-star review and all those things. They're compensated for that drain process install. So. that has helped us to have customer satisfaction and keep the guys motivated to do a good job, bought into the vision, believing we're making a difference because we are. And it's been really successful for us on that standpoint.
See, I love that because that right there is a big differentiator with your company, and you as a leader says a lot because again, I'm thinking first of all, you're coming in people's houses when they're in stressful situations, so
Oh yeah.
it's just not and you're you know I love the vision. You want to make it a 5-star experience. How do you do that? You show empathy. You say,
Yeah,
hey, and you do a good job, and you try to work with the people. And see, I love that because it isn't just, um, hey, we need a concrete, we need new concrete out front.
for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you tear up your driveway. Oh, well, how long until I can't drive my car in? No communication whatsoever, anything like that. I mean, any of the trades type of stuff working on your house. I mean, it's just stressful, and
Yeah.
especially anyway. So I love your whole vision thing. I mean, and the fact that you are working with your team because I go on and on about this stuff, but I always say um, you have external customers and you have internal customers. Customers are your team members, you know,
Yeah.
and
Love that.
you got to. So I love that you taking care of both of them. Um, so what are some of the so what like you took this business over,
Hmm.
and so what I mean again, that's why I'm so you downplay yourself sometimes, but I love the thing I love about you, and even um, uh, the owner of another company who's quite a bit older than me too, but he went and said that he was so excited about how passionate you were about learning everything about businesses and just everything to be a big, be a better leader, to be a better, all that. So, what are some of the initial challenges you've had, like taking this business over?
Oh yeah. Being an entrepreneur is not easy. Anyone that is one would can attest to that.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of challenges owning this company, and still do. Obviously, the stress is always there. A lot of the most of the challenges that we face as a business, and I think most businesses face, is really it comes down to relationships, and like you said, being a leader, and so a lot of the challenges I face is making sure that we are keeping good relationships. We have different personalities. Our customers have different personalities. They have different preferences. And sometimes it can be hard to adjust and, make sure every single customer, no matter their personality type, is feeling the assurance and desired outcome of what we are providing as a drainage company. And so, yeah, a lot of the challenges we face are a lot of relationships and making sure my guys can adequately discern and be able to help others as they communicate clearly. Relationships within the office, making sure that people feel loved, cared for, that I care about their visions, their goals, their aspirations in life. I care a lot about the personal growth of my employees. I know that if they're going to personally grow, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, then that they're going to be so much successful here at work. And as far as having a good attitude, which is problems people can have, as far as, not having energy and feeling like, maybe a sort of lostness with your life and things like that. If you can grow personally, a lot of those problems are already taken care of, and you can come focus on work and provide a great experience for the customers we're serving and for the fellow employees around them. But I would say a lot of other problems we face, in the beginning, hopping into this thing 3 years ago as a 21-year-old who had no idea how to run a business, it was kind of financially figuring out, okay, how does a company make money, right? Trying to figure that out, and still provide for the guys and pay them good, and make sure that we're being cost effective to the customers, being fair there. And so that was a big challenge. It took me a good amount of time to figure that out. Hey, what do things need to be priced at? Getting our job costing
Yep.
situations figured out and making sure that we're profitable, being a healthy company. Um, I don't want to be underpriced because I want to be here in 5 years to help my customers when they do need me again, or
Right.
warranty situations, all those type of things. And so, but yeah, figuring that side of out, I said that's probably the biggest learning curve that I've been able to grow through is the financial aspect, and then also just being a leader and figuring out, okay, what's the best leadership style. And for me, it's honestly just been servant leadership. Just being able to serve my employees and let them know, like, I'm at the bottom of the rung, guys. Like, and to be completely honest, Scott, I actually don't know a lot. To be honest, I rely a lot on my employees and a lot of
Yep.
their skills that they have because I'm really young. And, and so just making sure that, when they have a good idea, yeah, let's do it. I mean, it's your call, it's your shot, do what you feel best. I'm not there. People often call me up, my employees, and I'm like, what do you feel is best? Okay, go do it. I
Yeah.
don't need to ask me. I think you know best. So, being that servant leadership, I feel like has taken us along and has really helped make the guys feel loved and cared for and feel like that their opinions and as they talk and discuss, feel like they're more involved in this company and a part of its growth. Because it's really not me. It's really these great men and women I get to work with and get to take this place to the next level. That's really been awesome to watch them grow and personally grow too. I get to hear the personal challenges of all my employees. Get to talk with them and watching them work through that. And I really believe that work should be a place of refuge. That there's a lot of stressful things we got to deal with in life, whether it's family, finances, whatever it can be. But when I have my employees come to work, I want that to be a place where, like, hey, I can lock in here. This is a place of home for me. This is a place I don't got to be stressed about, and I know that I'm going to be taken care of here. And so, having that has really helped take care of a lot of our problems, and I feel like that's a big key to our success. And we're just getting better and better and better. We're just starting out here, so just getting things rolling.
Yeah. So I just love the whole philosophy of what you have again because you can just it shows in the passion you have for your employees and stuff, and that your company is going to go a long ways because you can go further with a team than by yourself,
Oh,
and
amen.
so you got the whole thing. What's one of the biggest referral partners you work with to help out?
Yeah, I would say good referral partners typically are restoration companies are
Okay.
a good referral partner. Oftentimes, so let's say you open up your crawl space hatch, Scott, and all of a sudden you got water in there. First off, I'm sorry for you. Second off, who are you going to
Okay.
call? So oftentimes, you're thinking it's a leaking pipe, which it definitely could be. That's a very fair analysis that you got a busted pipe in your crawl space. And so you call the plumber. Okay, Mr. Plumber comes out, he takes a look. Man, all these lines are totally fine. But yeah, you got 2 inches of water down here. You're probably going to need a restoration guy to come out here and take a look and get this thing dried and figure out what's going on. So he refers it to the restoration company. Restoration company gets in there. They might check sprinkler lines. They might do a few other tests. But at the end of the day, they're like, "Hey, this is surface water. This is groundwater. It's not coming from pipes, so you need a drainage system." And oftentimes, restoration companies obviously they don't do that, so they will call me in and we'll come in, we'll analyze the whole situation and figure out what's going to be the best route for getting this solved, getting this water in the crawl space. So restoration guys are really good referrals because they're mainly finding it first. A lot of the plumbers they are buddy buddy with the restoration guys, so there's a couple plumbers that just call me right when there's no leaks. They just call me. They already know it's a drainage issue. They don't
Yeah.
need restoration, so they'll just
Right.
forget the restoration and call straight me. Um, so those are good referral partners because they're in the crawl spaces, and they're down there. Because I mean, how often do you look in your crawl space, Scott? I don't know. Most people don't. I
Yeah. Yeah.
don't look in there very often, right? It's not the funnest place to be. So another pretty big referral partner is gutter companies. Um,
Oh, because that
they
back at the very beginning, you talked about gutters. That, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yep. So we install the drains off the gutter. So they'll oftentimes install the gutter systems, and then
Okay.
we'll come in and we'll put drains on the downspouts of those gutters, and get that water away from the house, so we can prevent water in the crawl space or basement. So you don't have to pay a lot more down the road because those issues cost much, much more than the drains on your downspouts. So those are good ones. Other companies, though, any company that's in a crawl space, really, pest control companies,
Okay.
you know, anyone that's hopping down in there, oftentimes can find
Yeah.
water. So.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Hey, well, is there any other questions that I should have asked that I didn't?
Um, Not that I can think of, Scott.
Okay.
That kind of gives a good encompassing of kind of what we do, how we can help,
Yep.
and who we are as a company, and who we hope to become. We're always looking to become better. So yeah,
No, see, I love that, and that's why I brought you on, and I bring others like you on, is because um, I just respect you for just being a good individual and someone who cares about their team members. To me, that means one, you're great at what you do, but like you've heard me say a million times, I love owners that have a giving heart, and that's what you have, and I appreciate that. And so and not to only employees, about the customers, the fact that your company, it's one of their missions, you want to be the best drainage company in Idaho, and you want to give a 5-star service every time, and that's a culture you have. So I love that, because if I have a drainage issue, I want your company coming to my house,
thank you. I
because
appreciate that.
I'll be stressed as hell.
Yeah, most people are. Most people are. We get a lot of phone calls with people and tears in their eyes, sad enough. So
Yeah. Well, perfect. Hey, well, this has been another episode of Treasure Valley NA Quick Tips, and appreciate you coming on, Joel. And until the
yeah,
next
thanks for having me,
episode,
Scott.
yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks.